So, yeah, this is one of the biggest fears that people have. Will the baby feel like mine? And one of the important things I think to be aware of when having a baby through donor conception, actually having a baby through any form of conception, is that bonding and attachment is a process and it takes time. So some people will feel that instant bond when they have their baby. Some people it may take some time. But I know when people have used donor eggs, there can be those kind of additional worries about will they feel like your child. I actually used to worry that whether my child would have a sixth sense that they weren't genetically related to me. Um, and I think it's only through going through that experience that you realize everything that you're doing. So as you're growing that child, as you're feeding that child, as you're nurturing that child, you're looking after them constantly 24/7, you realize that you are all they have ever known. And you've known them since a day 5 embryo, since they've been put back. And I think once you've started to process those feelings, you've spoken to other people about it, and you've experienced motherhood with that child, you do feel like they're yours. There's no other way of thinking about it. But there is that level of acceptance where you've got to still realize that you are not genetically their parent in that sense. And so it's it's kind of realizing what it is that makes you the real mum and makes you a mum, and knowing that it's an act, it's an intention, it's everything you do for them. um, but that's not forgetting that there is an important part of the puzzle in the fact that you needed to use genetics from another person, and that is a process of grief and acceptance. And one of the things I always say is that acceptance doesn't necessarily mean that you won't ever feel sad about not having that genetic link. You've accepted it. I think grief is something you grow around, so the grief lessens. But there will still occasionally be triggers and things that crop up that might kind of sting a little bit. But yeah, it's a complex process. But it is trying to think about it more broadly around what you're actually doing for that child. And sort of, I take my daughter to school now and I don't feel any different to any of the other mums in the playground. I know her inside out just like they know their children inside out, and we're just as strongly connected, and in some ways if not more so. I believe that going through such a process and such an kind of an experience to have your children, I think it makes you a more conscious, grateful parent for everything that you do. So